led to article after article of people being like, Ellen is a nasty person. And all these staffers started to come out, not for nothing, but I know a guy, I know him very well, whose sister worked for her, who said, you were not allowed to make eye contact with Ellen in the halls of that show. If you saw her, this is not a nice person. So she eventually got canceled, but now she's coming.
Robert De Niro just took a hit to his tough guy image, and this time, it wasn't in a movie. In an unexpected duo, Megyn Kelly and Rob Schneider joined forces and delivered a reality check that had everyone talking. From glitzy award shows to snappy late-night jabs, De Niro's sharp tongue finally met some real pushback, and he didn't exactly come out on top. What did Rob say that caught him off guard? And why is Megyn grinning like she just won a debate? You'll want to see this unfold.
A question for you on this. This is perfect for you. Because I'm seeing this week that there is an attempted comeback by somebody who did not cross one of those fateful lines of the misstepping on their sacred cows of gender or race or sexuality.
Yeah.
But she was said to be a nasty biatch, and that's Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah.
So her show got canceled after she had this testy exchange with Dakota Johnson, where something happened where Dakota said, I had this birthday party, and Ellen said, well, why didn't you invite me? You didn't invite me. And she said, no, I did invite you, Ellen. That's not what happened. And Ellen had blown her off and then tried to play the victim on the set with her. Anyway, it led to article after article of people being like, Ellen's a...
Robert De Niro, Hollywood heavyweight, Oscar winner, and lately, one of the most outspoken voices with a mic in hand. He's gone from portraying intense characters on screen to channeling that same fire into real-life tirades. These days, the man who once embodied a raging bull sounds more like a cantankerous uncle at Thanksgiving, taking aim at anyone with a differing opinion. And it all reached a boiling point during that dramatic 50th anniversary appearance.
I think also
I'm
to
just
admit
like,
their
of
mistakes.
all people on earth to be feeling sorry for herself, Ellen DeGeneres should not be on the list.
She should at least, but make a real apology and do it.
There's no apology. It's just woe is me. I was run out of Hollywood as she speaks from this grandiose stage on Netflix. Hello, you haven't been canceled if you are doing a Netflix special. She got $20 million for the one before this. I'm sure she's fine.
I'm sure she's fine.
But don't worry, De Niro wasn't left shouting into the void. Megyn Kelly and Rob Schneider showed up armed with verbal blowtorches, and let's just say the Hollywood heavyweight wasn't ready for the heat. If you thought his recent political rants were dramatic, buckle up. Kelly, former Fox News anchor turned sharp-witted podcast host, and Schneider, yes, that Rob Schneider of You Can Do It, fame teamed up for an unexpected takedown. What followed wasn't just a roast. It was a reckoning.
Let her back in, Rob, because she's a lesbian, she's a leftist, and she didn't hit one of their sacred cows. Nastiness, that's their bread and butter.
Well, I think everyone... I will say, the resentment, I think everyone should have a chance for reconciliation. I don't think Jesus exempted anybody. And so I do, while it does, because I have been allowed back in, but I don't hold any grievance and resentment. It's very important. And I would just say for Ellen, the resentment, you have to know, you have to get over resentment to whatever addiction or addictive qualities happen. To get over it, you have to deal with resentment and address it. And then otherwise you're going to fall back into the same.
And wow, what a roast it was. Picture a high school talent show act bombing in real time. This wasn't a debate. It wasn't even a clash of equals. It was a full-scale verbal ambush from two very different voices delivering the same message. Enough already, let's rewind. De Niro's been spiraling into full-throttle political rage mode for a while, now complete with thunderous speeches, finger-wagging, and monologues that feel more personal than principled. But this time, the reaction wasn't applause. It was discomfort.
Got a Netflix special. That's the right response.
Yeah.
She's got a Netflix special. And here's the capper. On the promo, she plays the victim. And she says, poor me. And she actually has the nerve to say that she was run out of Hollywood. This person...
With $100 million in her pocket.
$450 million, according to Forbes. That's a low estimate.
Yeah.
Because, so now she's out there saying, I was run out of Hollywood. She's actually reportedly complaining about how hard it is for women in America with the double standards.
Look at Oprah, how hard it is for her.
Oh, she's got, like 10 houses, Ellen DeGeneres?
Michelle Obama, look how hard it is for women in America. They're hurting.
They're going to let her back in.
These days, De Niro's speeches land somewhere between a campaign rally and a meltdown minus the teleprompter. But with all the fury, the man who once played nuanced, unforgettable characters now seems stuck playing just one, the angry out of celebrity, and people are noticing. When did a legendary actor decide his greatest role was Hollywood's loudest political crusader? It's as if he mistook the country for a movie set and his critics for extras to shout over. But the performance isn't landing. Former fans, especially moderates and conservatives, aren't clapping anymore. They're cringing. Enter Megyn Kelly, cool-headed and razor-sharp. She didn't just push back, she dismantled his arguments. Her point, maybe the guy in the gated mansion shouldn't be the one lecturing the rest of America on how to live.
Tweet. A user asked his followers to share the craziest stories they'd heard about Ellen being rude, and what followed was pure chaos. It was like watching thousands of people piece together a giant puzzle of bad behavior. One user replied with, quote, "I worked at Real Food Daily, served her and Portia at brunch. She wrote a letter to the owner and complained about my chipped nail polish. Not that it was on her plate, but just that it was on my hand. I had worked till the closing night before, and it was just the next morning. Almost got me fired."
Megyn Kelly. De Niro wasn't a bold truth teller. He was just another celebrity cranking up the volume to mask how little substance was actually there. Her critique hit that perfect sweet spot where dry humor meets sharp insight. She didn't just mock the theatrics, she exposed the double standard. Celebrities can paint entire groups of voters with a broad, insulting brush and then pivot to preaching unity, like they invented it. It's like someone smashing your window, then offering a TED Talk on forgiveness. That's the contradiction Kelly spotlighted, and it resonated. She added fuel by pointing out the irony. The man once famous for Raging Bull is now simply famous for raging. His legacy of iconic roles has taken a backseat to what's becoming an ongoing one-man show about being constantly offended, and just as Kelly wrapped up her surgical critique, in came Rob Schneider from stage left, less scalpel, more sledgehammer. You might expect him to steer clear of politics, but this time, he dove in headfirst.
Situation. Yeah. You know, people found out that Ellen was mean, and all these people came out and said, "Ellen's actually a bitch." And then we're like, "Whoa, yeah. Can't believe it." And she lost everything. She fell apart, disappeared, because people found out that this character that she was portraying in a half an hour on a television show is not really who she was. My buddy Greg, who was one of her writers, was like, "She's a piece of shit." And he was like, "She's a monster."
Schneider's strategy, satire, and he nailed it. His takedown felt like a parody skit that veered just close enough to truth to sting. Suddenly, the guy known for goofy comedies sounded like the most level-headed one in the room, with a wink and a punchline. Schneider framed De Niro's outrage as a full-time performance piece, equal parts overacted and out of touch. Jokes about De Niro yelling at clouds weren't just funny, they were cutting. What could have been a throwaway jab turned into a crowd-pleasing roast. While Kelly dissected the actor's activist persona with calm precision, Schneider tore it down with laughs and sarcasm. Different tactics, same outcome. Robert De Niro, roasted so thoroughly it felt like he accidentally wandered into his own Comedy Central special. One delivered a masterclass in critique, the other, a comedy clinic. Together, they made it clear De Niro's rants aren't profound, they're performative, and people are over it.
Progress with the strike?
They're picketing right now, so I think it's the early stages. I would think it might take a little bit with this one.
When someone crosses the writer strike, that's some dirty shit. They cross the picket line?
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody doing that yet.
I think Ellen did. I had a buddy of mine who was writing on Ellen. Everybody kind of knows now what she's really all about. And that's another one of those. Like, press. I'm so nice and I'm so sweet. Being behind the...
But this wasn't just about De Niro. The whole moment pointed to something bigger, cultural shift. Where Hollywood's political monologues once drew admiration, now they're often met with eye rolls and fatigue. Audiences are increasingly tuning out when millionaires in gated mansions lecture the public about morality. The disconnect is too loud to ignore. De Niro has become the poster child for what happens when celebrity, politics, and unchecked ego collide. What made Kelly and Schneider's takedown hit so hard is that they tapped into this growing sentiment. Kelly, sharp and unflinching, cut through the noise with reason. Schneider, wielding humor, turned De Niro's anger into a punchline. Together, they reminded everyone that being a celebrity doesn't shield you from criticism, especially when passion morphs into parody. The kicker: De Niro's outburst didn't inspire action, it inspired memes. And online, the applause wasn't for him. It was for the roast.
I would have been pleasantly surprised to find out I'm kind.
Well, yeah, that's disingenuous. That's disingenuous.
Yeah, disingenuous.
Disgenerous. That's disgenerous. Well, I think you should, I mean, there's certainly no lack of, I don't sense any humility.
No.
In that.
No. And no one cares that now she's dealing with chickens. It's like, all right,
You're a normal $450 million person.
And by the way, I guarantee you she's
Who's
worth
taking
a
care
lot
of her
more.
chickens? I guarantee, what's that? You guarantee what?
She's worth a lot more
yeah,
than $450 million.
Her art alone.
And like those talk show hosts.
Her devil-worshipping art.
And just like that, the tables turned. The man once revered for his iconic film roles became the punchline, the cautionary tale of a star who couldn't exit the political spotlight with dignity. Who knew Rob Schneider would end up as the adult in the room? Became the running joke across social media. This whole saga reveals just how strange and upside-down celebrity politics have become. De Niro, once the embodiment of cool, confident swagger, is now being publicly outmaneuvered by a former news anchor and a slapstick comedian. His passionate monologues, once seen as powerful, now just feel like desperate bids to stay relevant in a cultural conversation that's moved on without him. While Kelly sliced through his contradictions and Schneider lampooned his dramatics, the takedown was complete. It was Hollywood elitism colliding with everyday skepticism, and De Niro, unintentionally, became the symbol of why that disconnect keeps growing.
Too much. I can't stand these rich celebrities who want us to feel sorry for them. We don't, right? It's like all those you saw, like Julia Roberts on the Oprah special with Kamala Harris, like, oh, and Meryl Streep. Like,
I know, winning over the hearts of people who live in gated communities everywhere.
Well, wait, are these still your people? Are you still in California?
No, I had to move out of California because I
Yes.
got little kids. And
We
it's
understand why.
It's dangerous that, in California, take your kids, in public schools. In the morning you drop off a girl, in the afternoon you pick up a boy. You never know what you're going to get.
In the end, Kelly and Schneider became unexpected voices for a growing audience disillusioned with Hollywood arrogance, and arrogance De Niro now wears like a badge. Rather than rallying support, his angry outbursts spectacularly backfired. The internet didn't respond with reverence, it erupted in laughter, memes, hashtags, and video clips flooded timelines. With Schneider the Deuce Bigelow guy suddenly cast as the voice of reason, Kelly's takedown became a case study in calm, calculated critique. De Niro's signature scowls and shame on you tirades were met with digital eye rolls and one devastating chorus. Okay, boomer. A man once admired for his gritty performances is now the unwilling star of a new genre, political parody. Kelly brought sharp logic. Schneider brought absurd humor. And De Niro, he brought rajand, not much else. The moment audiences realized De Niro got schooled wasn't just political commentary, it was pure entertainment. Less raging bull, more raging meme. Because here's the truth, yelling into a mic doesn't make you the main character. It makes you the punchline. And next time Robert De Niro winds up for another impassioned rant, the world will be watching but not to cheer. Thanks to Kelly and Schneider, they'll be watching for the laughs.